I do think there's something really extraordinary about the ocean. Like there's something very magical about it. But there's just so much we don't know still.
Welcome to Wild Development Studio. Join us as we venture into the breathtaking realm of wildlife arts and untamed adventures. With captivating stories from the field and ideas to dive into the visual arts, we'll ignite your passion for conservation. Get ready to develop something wild.
Welcome to Wild Developments, where we bridge the gap between the confines of your office walls to the freedom of the great outdoors. I'm your guide, Lauren, and today we're diving into an unexpected but crucial aspect of wildlife conservation: marketing. In today's world, the power of storytelling and effective communication can make or break conservation efforts, or really any business. How do we capture the hearts and minds of the public, and what strategies are successful organizations using to raise awareness and drive action? To find some answers, we chat with Beverly Cornell. She is the founder of BC and Associates Marketing, digital marketing expert, reputation and growth specialist, author, and podcaster at Spark and Ignite Your Marketing. She is a vibrant and enthusiastic individual who believes in the beauty of our diverse world. With a passion for building connections and fostering relationships, Beverly has always been drawn to communication and marketing. From singing jingles around the house as a child to founding her own marketing company in 2011, Beverly's love for science and psychology of buying has only grown stronger. As an accidental entrepreneur, Beverly has worked in communication and advertising since 1995 and enjoys finding unique opportunities for her clients. She is always eager to work with team members who share her enthusiasm and hunger for success. With Beverly, you can trust that your business will thrive and flourish. Beverly is offering Wild Developments listeners an exclusive discount for a brand spark. This is going to be over 80% in savings for our listeners. This revolutionary service will illuminate your path to your business goals by providing clarity, identifying what's working, pinpoint areas for improvement, and ignite fresh ideas to propel your business forward. But hurry, this offer is only good for 1 week past this episode's air date of August 1st, 2024. Hi, Beverly. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yes, and we did a fun interview yesterday over on your podcast, which we'll link in the show notes here. Can you tell Wild Developments listeners all about your podcast and what inspired you to create it?
So I host and produce a podcast called Spark and Ignite Your Marketing. And yes, you were a guest yesterday. It was a super fun episode. And I started that actually from a couple different reasons. The first reason really is back in 2007, I had a podcast called Global Business Perspectives, and I produced and hosted about 50 episodes. And during that time, I did a couple of things. One, I had over 1 million downloads. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Wow. Yeah.
And especially when it wasn't cool, and I was required listening for Michigan State University econ students. Like I had just gotten a really good following and somehow hit. And through that, I was able to really expand my network. I was really considered an authority in the global business space, especially in the Metro Detroit area. And it really helped build the business that I was working for at the time. Unfortunately, and very sadly, in 2007, there was no cloud. And when the episodes were saved, they were saved on a drive that was owned by my ex-boyfriend.
Ooh.
And when we became exes, you can imagine that went with him. So big lesson learned, right? And very sad, so sad. But it's all good. Like all those things happen for a reason and teach you things. And for sure, I learned some things from that process. To own your stuff is a big one, no matter what you do and where you go. And the cloud is a really convenient spot as well. So I was actually a little bit disappointed, as you can imagine, a little bit devastated about losing all of that content and all that work. And so there was a little bit of a bitter taste in my mouth about podcasting. However, the last 12, 13 years, I've owned my own marketing company. And in that process, I've spoken to a lot of clients, and we talk a lot about how to build authority and ways in which you can put yourself out there through writing a book, through doing different article interviews, podcasting. And I was listening to myself talk to a financial customer of ours. And I was saying, oh, you should do a podcast. It'll help build your authority. You'll be able to get guests on there. You'll have a whole different way of approaching people. And it was like a light bulb moment of like, what, why are you not doing this, Beverly? Like, do you listen to yourself? So often the cobbler's kids have no shoes. Marketers don't often take our own advice. And so 3 weeks later, I launched the podcast because I said, this is ridiculous. Why am I not doing this? I've done it before. I know it's doable. Let's make it happen. So thankfully, I have a great assistant, Michelle, who helped me launch it in 3 weeks because it was a big project. You know what it's like to launch a podcast. And I'm on like episode 6 now, 7, something like that we've launched. So still really new, but love my podcast. Like I'm so excited to have it back and to be able to meet people like you and just love meeting interesting people and hearing their stories. It's extraordinary. So that's kind of the road and the path that led me to podcasting. And you and I met through a Facebook group about podcasting. So it really has connected me to people in a very unique way.
Yeah. In the about 15 years since you've done podcasting, how has that landscape changed?
Well, one is there's the cloud. There's a lot more. Gosh, like it was like Apple had just come out with a podcast platform in 2004 or 5. Don't quote me on this. I'm not a podcast guru here, but so like Spotify wasn't even a thing then. You know, like YouTube was just kind of coming up. So there wasn't all these different channels to listen to podcasts. The idea of you kind of being a radio person was really unique in 2007. And I remember telling a lot of people I had to explain what a podcast was. Now that's all kind of done. People know what it is. People are used to it. It's part of our society now. And there's so many podcasts. So I think just it was extremely new and different at the time. And people really did. I think that's why it was so popular. People really did enjoy the format. And it, as you know, podcasting became much more mainstream. So I think us early podcasters kind of just tested the waters to see what worked, what didn't work, and found there was certainly an audience and there was definitely topics we could talk about. And the topics are like endless. So it has opened up so many opportunities for all of my clients anyway. So it's exciting. The other thing is technology, just like there's so many platforms to record on now. Zoom was not a thing. Like that wasn't even video conferencing was not really a thing until like 2010-ish. And so that wasn't video for sure. And like there's so many recording platforms now. There was not a lot of recording platforms then, and all the access to equipment and mics and all that stuff now through Amazon and all the places. Like it was just you had to go to like an audio video place to get your equipment.
Oh, wow.
So it wasn't as convenient. There were no lavaliers that were like, $30. It was all really expensive. And so I think just the accessibility of this medium now is much more open, which I love. I think it should be. It should be more open to people to share their opinions and their passions. So
clearly, I agree.
Yes.
So why is marketing important to you?
I read your outline when you sent it to me, and I was like, oh my gosh, like it's probably like me asking you, why is nature important to you, right? Like the layers are very deep and wide. So I actually have degrees in communication. That's my degree in, and communication is kind of a mashup of psychology, anthropology, sociology, English. Like there's so much to it, and it's all kind of based on human behavior. We communicate all the time, verbally, non-verbally, written, visually. There's so many. I mean, even through sign language, there's other languages. It's just extremely fascinating to me. And when I was younger, I was that kid who would sing the jingles, like the double mint gum jingle, and like right? Like I would love the commercials, and we didn't have streaming TV and all that, so we had to watch the commercials. And I think I really made the best of watching the commercials. Like I enjoyed them, and it kind of became a joke with my family because there was I don't even know if you know, and I'm going to totally date myself by saying this, but there was an infomercial called the Showtime rotisserie. Do you know this product? Okay.
Mm-mm.
It ultimately was like an oven. Like you could do like a rotisserie chicken or turkey in it. And you would set it and forget it. Like that was the thing. And the whole infomercial setup was just, I watched that infomercial like 100 times. Like I was obsessed with the commercial. And my mom said, you have to do marketing. Like there's just no question to me that this is what you're supposed to do. But I kind of got to that space on a very crooked path. But I have always, excuse me, I've always been fascinated by commercials and jingles, and just also like that human, how we communicate, persuasion, debate, like all of that's been something that I have found fascinating when I was super young.
So, in a sense, I feel that even if you don't run a small business, we're marketing ourselves every day. We put our best face forward on social media and in the
Yes.
workplace. Do
Yes.
you have any suggestions for people for like a marketing 101?
Oh, I think it's about kind of how we talked about yesterday, even on the Spark Ignite Your Marketing podcast. You have to be yourself, and you have to talk about what you love for it really to work. I think if you are inauthentic and you're not really excited about something, it becomes very apparent in your presentation. I even say that my 8-year-old markets, he's always like, well, if I get good grades, I can get a new game, right? Like, mom, I'm going to do that. Like, he's always kind of working it, right? So I think, everybody should be marketing themselves. If you want a promotion, if you want a raise, if you want that next job title or the next job career change, you need to be putting your best face forward, even if you're not in marketing or do marketing. You should be presenting yourself well and professionally. So, yes, of course, everybody is marketing. Everybody, even, at the bar when I was long time ago, when I was before I married my husband and I was dating, men and women or whoever were interested in who are marketing each other for a relationship. Like it is so base and primal for us to put ourselves out there in a really, I think, nice way to get attention from others, whatever that attention looks like for people. So yes, marketing is everywhere and I cannot turn it off. So I go to a restaurant and I look at the menu and I'm already like looking at there's typos or there's something and I'm like, oh yeah, this is a problem. So like it's kind of a curse, but also a blessing at the same thing, because it's just a part of who I am. I've just embraced it fully at this point.
You sound like me with drone photos. I'm like, oh, you can see the shadow of the drone, or why did they pick that angle or whatever. Yeah, I totally understand that. So, in your opinion, what is the worst marketing strategy a company can do that will just like instantly ruin their reputation?
Oh, I mean, there's two that I think are prevalent that happen a lot. One is the spray and pray mentality. They don't know who their target is. They don't know what they're really selling. So they're just saying a lot of stuff and doing it a lot of places, but it doesn't really have a cohesive, meaningful message that resonates with their customer. So I think just kind of not having a good strategy and knowing who you are and your voice. There are people who need to like develop that, which makes sense. One of the things that we try to help our clients with from the very beginning is finding your heart and soul, and that should inform your messaging going forward, kind of reducing that time of trying to figuring yourself out in this business space. But that's one that I think is, and you can tell, like they just the colors are all different. There's no branding, there's no like style of imagery, there's not even like a cohesive voice in style. And they're all over the place. Like it's not consistent. You can just tell they're not being strategic about it. And it's exhausting to be in that space. And it's also expensive. And it's, it doesn't work. So why do it? Right. And then the other part is spam, like people who spam. That's like my oh, I can't stand it. So there's no relationship whatsoever. There's no connection. You don't know, if I need that product or not. We have never had any kind of human interaction, and you're trying to sell me something or being like too chummy with me too soon. Like we haven't established no like and trust yet. So why are we there? Why are you acting like that? And then a lot of businesses, they do too much business on like social media and things like that. And they're not being human or fun or informing. They're just like, hey, I have this, I have this, I have this. And it's just I like sometimes have to leave channels where I feel like I have to wipe off the like sales puke because I'm like, no, no. They've just like thrown up all over me, and there's been nothing to connect or nothing to make me think that they're an authority or anything in that space. So spamminess and spraying and praying are my two kind of don't do that. Very cringy.
Yeah. Gosh, there are so many emails where one company will email me 3, 4 times a day, and I'm like, seriously? Like, I just deleted your other one, so unsubscribe.
Yes.
So if there is a small business out there listening today and they went to your website, how are you able to help them out?
So we have an interesting method. We don't just like say we do social media marketing or we do this. We actually start with a brand spark. That is the thing that we think is the most important, that informs the entire process of your marketing. That's a deep dive. We're kind of like marketing therapists. We get to the crux of what has worked, what hasn't worked, and we develop based on your mission, your vision, your core values, all of your heart and soul of what makes you you and why you do what you do. And then we create messaging and a plan based on that. So who is the customer that's going to benefit from this particular experience? And then looking at that customer journey and where is best to market in those places. So everything we do isn't for everyone. Again, that spray and pray mentality is not what we're about. We want to be really strategic about it. And then we also typically, if we once we have the messaging and we call it the blueprint to move forward, we don't just take a while to do things. We actually set up a foundation marketing, whether it's your website, your branding, whatever, within 2 days. Like you have access to us for 2 solid days. So there's no like back and forth 100,000 times. It's literally, let's get this up and get this out as soon as possible because no one wants to wait. They want to get up and running and get out there and whatever. So we dedicate our whole team exists for 2 days for that client, 1 to 2 days. So we get down and dirty and all the goodness, all the marketing goodness, and make it happen. And that is a super exciting couple of days. Like we are building a brand and making magic. And then we have our last service, which is the blaze part of it. So the first was the spark, then it ignites. So that's that real intensive 2 days. And then we go into blaze, which is how do you keep the brand alive, and you have to keep stoking the fire, right? So that's your daily social media posting, your weekly emails, whatever has to happen on a continuous basis, looking at your analytics, what's working, what's not working, adjusting, things like that. So that's our three kind of levels. And once you've been with us for a while, we make you a VIP, and it was VIPs if they have growth opportunities or they want to rebrand or things like that. We spend time with them and make sure that happens. So we're not like tactic based. We're more strategy implementation based, and it's a little bit different of an approach than a lot of other agencies that we found anyway.
I wish I would have found you 4 years ago because I was telling you yesterday it was like a handful of darts thrown in a wall, seeing what sticks. So yeah, it was definitely a spray and pray. And eventually I found my way, but yeah, I'm sure
You are not alone,
you
Lauren.
save
You are
people
not
so
alone.
much time.
Yes. And money at the end of the day. So yes, there's a cost to this process, but if you can get it right first and not have to like kind of like keep for 2 years or whatever, it's going to save you so much frustration, energy, time, all of that. So yeah, we cut right to the chase.
Yes.
And sometimes it can be a pleasant, but at the end of the day, really, it's like light bulb moments happen. And it is very exciting for the business owner because you're like, oh, yeah, that's the reason why I want to do this. Yes. So we get to the core of it and we know how to do that. We've done it many, many times. So don't waste your time, and all that, spend the 90 minutes to 120 minutes with us. Let's get to that space a lot sooner and then get you up and running so that you can do what you love. Like that's what it gets down to, right? Everybody starts a business because they love something. I love marketing. You love nature. There's an art. So you want to do what you want to do. Don't get bogged down in some of this other details that there are people who can hold your hand through the process and make sure you do it well and execute it.
And I see your book over your shoulder. I just bought that yesterday. I'm very excited to get it in the mail.
You.
And
That actually is all about finding your heart and soul. There's a lot of action steps in it. It only takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours to go through it. But I strongly suggest you're all about books and paper, like writing a journal, have a marketing journal, write down in there. And then it's also a great place to, like, if you're feeling frustrated or overwhelmed or like, why am I doing this, to go back and visit and be like, this is why I'm doing it. So it really gets to the center of your entrepreneurial journey and why you do what you do. So I hope it's a good experience. Like, I would love your feedback after you read it. So yeah, it's called Marketing for Entrepreneurs, the quick guide to sparking and igniting your marketing. So yes.
sounds like an excellent tool. Now, I do want to dive into your background a little bit. And I mean, dive literally, because you were telling me yesterday that you were thinking about being a marine biologist and you decided against it. So tell us about that.
So I do love nature. My happy place is water. So ocean, lake. I grew up in Michigan, so surrounded by water. I think you can't go more than like 50 miles and not hit a lake or something. So, but in Michigan, we don't have sharks. And when I was looking at schools in Sarasota, Florida, when I was looking at my undergrad, and yeah, I love dolphins and sea lions and manatees. And I had this vision of me being a trainer at like SeaWorld or something. Obviously, now we've learned a little bit about how that can be not necessarily a positive thing for the universe and the world and nature. But I really just wanted to connect with the animals and have that bond and relationship. I've trained several dogs, and I just really enjoy animals. And so I was going to become a trainer, and I was going to go to Sarasota, Florida, and I had gone scuba diving, and I had gone snorkeling in Cancun and done some different things. And on one of those trips, I realized there are sharks in the ocean, and that was not something that I was excited about being part of. So the ocean is actually rather scary. There are some really creepy, ugly, nasty creatures, eels and like the jellyfish and all the things. So I just decided that was probably more of a nightmare. And I'm a Jaws baby, when Jaws came out. Like, I was so scared of Jaws that I was worried that it would come through the grate in the pool. That's how scared I. Oh, you were too? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's how scared I was of Jaws. So I think that like traumatized a whole generation of people. And I couldn't get past it. So but still, my happy place is the ocean. I just tend to stay in like waist deep water versus going feet under the ground.
Yeah, I'm in Ohio, and obviously there's not even very many lakes or anything, and we have an aquarium, and working there got me over my fear of sharks. I mean, Jaws scared the pants off of me, and I seriously thought it was going to get me in the pool. But it also fascinated me, and being around sharks so much and being in that environment, I'm like, yes, I have to do that. And eventually I was the person that was in the Shark Tank giving dive shows. So I think maybe the more you're around it.
So I love to look at them. Like, I'm fascinated. Like on TikTok or on like a Shark Week on the Nature Channel, I am extremely curious about them. But I don't want to ever have a face-to-face encounter with one. I'm good.
Sharks need a new marketing person. Maybe you can be on there.
That's true. That's true. You're right. They do need some marketing love, because they really, I mean, we talked about this yesterday. You're more apt to get hit by lightning than be bit by a shark. So I have a very real respect for the immense power they have. So I think that's where it comes from, is like, the food chain is real, and I don't want to be part of it. I don't want to be part of that food chain. I'm good. Yeah.
What has been your favorite dive to do so far?
Well, I've only done a couple because I'm not certified. I mean, I'm only like 10 or 20 feet certified, whatever that is, like the base scuba certification. But I love it. Like, it's beautiful under there. The coral reefs and the fish, and we have a fish as a pet named Blue, and he's a fighting fish. And I go and I talk to him, and he comes out of his little thing, and he like sits there, and like it's like he's talking to me. It's very cute. I do think there's something really extraordinary about the ocean. Like there's something very magical about it. But there's just so much we don't know still. That's what's kind of the unknown is what's I fear most is like why don't you know what all those things. My favorite animal is a narwhal. If I could meet a narwhal, I would be so excited, but that's a little bit of a task because they require quite cold and expansive spaces, right? So um I even adopted a narwhal from the like what is the national what is the organization like environment something like you can adopt
Oh,
them and help support conservation efforts for them. So we adopted one and I really do. I think that the animals and we're all so connected. So like we can't be without them.
I'm glad that you said that your favorite animal was a narwhal. First of all, unicorn of the sea. Um,
Right.
but I have asked several of my people on my podcast, I'm like, what's your favorite animal? Adults don't talk about this. Let's normalize it. And my husband makes fun of me.
Yes.
But I think
Yes.
we should be talking more about that. It's fun. I think
Yeah.
you learn a little bit about somebody. Why is that your favorite animal?
It's the unicorn of the sea. So you can't see it, but actually, uh, I have like
Oh, wow. Look at
a
the
whole
unicorns.
collection of unicorns over there. Um, so yes, I think that to be unique and to be different and to be that's in marketing what you always want. Like there's a concept of being the purple cow in the field of black and white cows. Like how do you be the purple cow? One of the reasons why I chose the color purple in my logo was I liked the idea of a purple cow. Like I just want to be and I think that also I think people are magical too. And I think that if you really dig into a person's entrepreneurial journey, there's a lot of magic in that. And also, when you help build a business, you're building like the American dream. And there's a lot of magic in that journey too. So I really love the concept of the unicorn. And, you know, we're little girls. We obviously loved unicorns too. But I like the fact that it's all coming back and everybody's excited about unicorns. And even the color scheme, like mermaids, unicorns, that's all what I kind of was inspired for part of my logo because they're like magical, mystical creatures that in marketing, you want to be kind of the thing that's not like everybody else. So I that's a very appropriate symbol for kind of my philosophy on marketing too.
Yeah. So between the color scheme, the unicorn, and wanting to be a dolphin trainer, were you a huge Lisa Frank fan as a kid?
Lisa, who's Lisa Frank? I don't know this name.
You don't know Lisa Frank, the artist?
No, no.
Oh my goodness, we're gonna have to look this up right now. I will show you. She was a really popular artist in the like 80s and 90s, and I think you're gonna like her style.
Oh,
Can you see that?
oh yeah, yeah, for sure. No, totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I think I had sticker books with her stickers in it. Yes,
Okay.
solidly. Yeah. hmm
Okay. Just I figured.
I just didn't know her name was Lisa Frank.
Yeah, I think she's
Yes.
making a comeback too. I love how everything's making a
Yes.
comeback. Is
Yes.
that
Yes.
in the marketing world? Do you see trends like that too?
Oh gosh, you know what I learned in marketing when I went to school? There's the basics of psychology and buying and things like that, but all the tools and everything have changed, Lisa. Technology, the internet, everything has, and it's almost on a daily basis. Algorithms change. There's a new tool like Threads comes out, or you know, TikTok might be banned, or like there's always kind of something happening that's it's extremely fast, lots of technology, lots of education that has to go in to make sure we understand the tool to its fullest benefits and features. It's not even in the same realm. Like I used to hand catalog art when I worked for Chrysler. I would take the images of the trucks and put them in like a folder and put them in like a library room. Everything's digital now, like so much. I mean, even things like Canva, you don't have to know Adobe Acrobat anymore. Like it's all so accessible now in such a really fun way that it's so different. It's not even it's night and day and almost daily it
Oh,
changes. So
it sounds hard to keep up with.
it is hard. And that's one of the reasons why, education and learning and keeping is really important for people in my field. I think especially I read a ton. Like I'm always reading and I'm attending webinars and I'm looking at what people are doing and analyzing like patterns and things like that and always looking at analytics. Like the power of analytics is really helpful to help us know what's working and what's not working. So
You were telling me a little bit when I first met you that you traveled abroad and you saw Machu Picchu and natural hot water springs and the beaches in Rio. Out of all those places in the Mediterranean, out of all those places, what has been your favorite?
well, they're all so different and unique. Like you can't, they all are special in their own way. Obviously, I mean, the reason why certain places I think resonate more is the relationships you have with the people that you spent the time with there. I think that's really important. I have like quote unquote family in Spain and Brazil because I lived there as an exchange student. So for those places, like a piece of my soul is in Spain and a piece of my soul is in Brazil. I joke all the time that those are my people. My husband looks at me and goes, "Honey, no, I'm not those people." People for the listeners who can't see, I am Scottish. I have reddish blonde hair and freckles, so not even close to like what I should look like as a Latina. But I feel really strongly connected to that culture. I speak Spanish, so there's just something very to me the food, the people, the experience I had that was extraordinary. And it changed my life and my perspective on the world. And I think all those places, like you look at Stonehenge, you look at Machu Picchu, it just shows you like history is amazing, first of all. And it just shows you how insignificant we are as humans, I think, in the grand scheme of things. Like sitting in front of the Roman Colosseum, I felt very humbled about how many thousands of people had walked before me there. So extremely humbling in our very short life as Americans, like in how much we've contributed. But I think in the natural world, there's just so much beauty, that to be seen in this country, in other countries. I think Banff is probably one of my most favorite places too, because there's the mountains, there's snow, there's the lakes that are like blue, like so blue, and the air just seems cleaner there. But I mean, Machu Picchu was very similar too. So it's really hard to tell you one place that I have been, but I have been in awe of the world that we live in on so many different experiences and trips and nature is amazing. What nature can create, what water can create, what time can create. Um, there's no painting that will ever do it justice, right? Or for photograph, like the expanse of it and the colors and the textures are amazing. So
I always get so frustrated because I love sunsets and the pictures just never do it justice.
never.
You just gotta get out there and see it for yourself. What is your favorite memory outside?
Um, favorite memory. This is hard too. Lauren, you shouldn't ask such hard questions. Um, maybe probably the Banff as well. Like I got to go in a gondola, like there's a gondola ride up to the top of the mountain. And when I was going up to the top of the mountain, there was a mama bear and two baby bears, and they were like frolicking under the gondola. And it was just, I felt like I was just watching. I was extremely close, but I was able to like be a part of it. And it was again just so humbling. Like I got tears in my eyes on the gondola ride because I just felt so blessed. I was able to like witness that moment with that mama bear and baby bears. It was just precious. So I think that might have been a really one of the most significant ones. But I have said so many, so it's hard to pick one.
Yeah, it's funny because I didn't start liking bears until recently, and a lot of people that I've been interviewing are saying bears. And I think there's a lot of humanness that we can recognize and see in bears. They've got a really good marketing team. They always had since the teddy bear.
Yeah, the teddy bear has revolutionized the bear. You're right. You're right.
Exactly.
That's funny.
So we are almost out of time. Where can people find you?
So the business is called BC Associates Marketing. So bcassociatesmarketing.com. If you search Beverly Cornell, you'll find me. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm everywhere. I have a podcast. I have a book. So I'm pretty well on the first page of Google, but BC and Associates Marketing, that's probably the easiest way. And we're on all the channels. We have to be. So we're on all the channels. You'll find us. Yeah.
Very good. And before we do go, what is one tip that you have for someone that would like to reconnect with nature?
So I love gardening. It's one of my top 3 hobbies. I like ballroom dancing, cooking, and gardening. And I think gardening actually feeds some of the cooking because the herbs and all the things you can grow. So I just think gardening is really beautiful, and you can, it's extremely satisfying. You plant something, you water it, you watch it grow, you literally create like this life and this being. So I have plants in my home, I have plants outside. Up until recently, I was not able to keep a plant inside alive, but the last 10 years I have like mastered it. I'm very excited. I have several plants that have lived and are doing well. They're flourishing, but the plants outside have a little help from rain and things like that. So it's a little bit more forgiving, but I like plants all year round. So I have, like, right now, my little spring plants are coming up. I have plants in the summer. I have plants in the fall. I really like learning about that. And the idea of what's native to the region that we live in. We're an Army family, so we move a lot. So I like learning about that. And I think that there's just something about getting your hands in the dirt or walking on the ground in the grass that is extremely powerful. So I think you should do that as much as you can.
Great. Thank you so much. And until next time, get outside and see what develops.
Thanks for joining Wild Development Studio. We hope this exploration into the world of wildlife arts and adventure has sparked a desire to get outside and connect with something wild. If you have an adventure that's awe-inspiring, don't hesitate to share. Click the link in the description to submit your story to have it featured on our show or be a guest. Until next time, keep connecting to the wild and see what develops. The views, opinions, and statements expressed by individuals during Wild Development Studio productions do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of Wild Development Studio or its affiliates. Participation in any activities, expeditions, or adventures discussed or promoted during our content may involve inherent risks. It is strongly advised that individuals conduct thorough research, seek professional guidance, and take all necessary precautions before engaging in any such activities. Wild Development Studio, its representatives, or employees shall not be held responsible for any injury, loss, damage, accident, or unforeseen incident that may occur as a result of participating in activities inspired by or discussed in our content. By choosing to engage with our content or act upon any information provided, individuals do so at their own risk and discretion.